Welcome, everybody, to the Strive Summit podcast. I'm your host, Alex Hanna, and with me, I have Ankit from VBS. Ankit, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, hello everyone. My name is Ankit Kansara. I'm an architect. I'm a founder and CEO of Virtual Building Studio and Scan2Beam.online.
Awesome. Okay, so Ankit, what is Virtual Building Studio? Go ahead and talk about what that is and how you kind of integrate in BIM.
Yeah, that's my favorite question. What is Virtual Building Studio? We established Virtual Building Studio in 2015 with the mission of providing most innovative services to the AEC industry powered by digital technology. That's the mission I started in 2015. We are right now a team of 200 plus architects and engineers. We have a small office in Texas and we have a production center in India. What we do is we have a global workforce of architects and engineers and that we utilize to provide BIM services. The major market we have been targeting, that's United States. That's the market we are working in. I think in the journey of last 9 plus years, we have changed a lot. We have done a lot of pivots in the business models. The way technology is transforming nowadays, it's way faster than it was before.
So, what technologies are you excited to bring into BIM and utilize for your workflow?
I personally thinking the next level technology is AR VR. That's gonna be the game-changing technology in future. As we know that right now, so there was a time when everything was flat, and then the 3D comes, and then now everybody wanna see the things in real time, like gaming, right? Everybody wanna see things as actual. People nowadays not want to rely only on architects and the visualization, but they wanna feel before everything built. They wanna feel, and what I personally feel is whatever you're gonna feel, you convince it very fast, you believe it very fast, and that gives you a go ahead, right? So my personal feeling is AR and VR is the next level technology, and that's gonna change the world completely.
Okay. So, what do you see being integrated with AR and VR and BIM? How do you see that working in a workflow of yours?
I think we have seen a lot of things. So when we started, I started my journey of BIM in 2011, 2012, when the beam was a new word. It's not a buzzword even. And when I heard that this is something new, this is a technology, it's a kind of a soft. First, I heard that it's a software, and it's kind of taking seats automatically done. All the seats gets updated and like care, and you get your quantities, everything. I'm so fascinated, and I thought I have to go to the technology side because you know that in 2008 the technology bubble busted, and 2008 everything was in my mind like I have to go on technology side because that's the future. So when I heard about BIM, I started learning Revit. I got a good opportunity working with a couple of MNCs. I worked in Singapore. I worked in UK. I understood that Revit is not just merely a tool. BIM is complete process. And when now I'm understanding the BIM, what I'm understanding now is it's just the tip of the iceberg. There is a lot more which is going to uncover in future, especially the AR VR part. So now we know that, the digital printing. We know that the manufacturing with the BIM, which is into the, you really not, you can sit or you can walk in the covered AC dome, and everything is, customized, manufacturing, predefined, precise quality. And what I'm seeing nowadays is, the AR, VR. AR, VR stuff is completely changing the game. Like there are a number of platforms nowadays in the market where you can go and visualize. You can use Oculus. You can do multiple things on the VR side and even on the AR side. So I personally see still there is a lot more to discover, and still there is a huge potential for AEC industry to learn a new things. And I think AEC industry needs a lot of new startup on the tech side where the architect joined the startups, the tech guys joined the startup, and they really try to change the industry. Because what I believe is since last 50 years, the industry is as it is. If you see the innovation side on IT, it's really, really great, right? Everything has been changed completely. But if you see the construction, even in the developed countries and developing countries, they are still at there. They still not have that much of innovation, right? Nowadays, even you cannot build a mall within a 6 months. You still need 3 years of time. You still have to go with the traditional technology which we used to, which we used to, 50 years ago. So I personally see that there is a huge advancement using an IT into this AC industry, and it's gonna change the life we live completely. It's gonna disrupt the AC industry completely.
Okay, okay. I can see AR VR coming through and being a very useful tool. Um, do you see people eventually building in VR to translate to construction documents?
Yeah, I personally believe yes, definitely. Uh, I've seen a lot of startups. Even I met a couple of young troops few months before, and they were working, exclusively on the VR stuff, that how VR can change the things. I know they are not from the ACE industry, but they're from the different industry, and
Hmm.
they now understand that this particular technology, if we develop, it's gonna change everything. So let's say fashion industry, let's say ACE industry, let's say any other industry that gets really disturbed by this VR stuff. And I've seen a lot of startup like two and multiple other startup in US. They're doing fabulously well, and they were huge. I mean, that the concepts are completely like mind-boggling, I would say.
Are you using VR right now?
To be honest, in virtual building studio, we used to work on VR part, but nowadays we are not using VR that much. We have our small niche. So we work with architects, we work with architects and engineers, and we provide the dedicated resources who are US trained. So that's the only part we work. And on a scan to beam side, we have a scanner, we have a network of surveyors that we leverage for scanning, and then we convert scan into the BIM by sitting here. And that's why we add a lot more value to our customers. But yeah, not on the VR side for sure, no. Technology side, no, we are not that much great into the technology side. Uh, but I personally feel that we should. I mean, we should try on that. But to be honest, sometimes on the when you see a business has a different criteria, profitability, and multiple other things. So you're not able to match everything. I mean, not able to balance everything, and that's
Right.
the reason why we are right now not much focusing on VR.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm excited to see what VR and AR comes. I see augmented reality starting to do a bunch of things with a bunch of industries. I think VR is still, I think it's dated, but waiting to catch up. I think it's dated because AR makes more sense in construction than VR,
Yeah,
unless you're doing like
yeah,
architectural walkthroughs and stuff. But with AR, you can plant your model on top of the site, and that's being used right now with companies like Argyle. Um,
yeah,
Okay, let's get into your journey because after that, I want to talk about how you work through outsourcing because you are,
yeah,
and correct me if I'm wrong, you are an outsource company and most of your team's
yeah.
in India, correct? Okay,
That's absolutely right.
perfect. Okay, so let's get into your journey. I want to know where you started, how you got interested in building, and then how you built this team up in India, all through education, training, and then got them to the point where you're at now.
Yeah. So when I was in high school, I was really good at the sketching, and I got introduced to this architecture stuff, which is building. I I attended one seminar. I we went on a site, and I thought that this is something I would love to do. I'm more into the like creativity, which is either I go into the fashion, a product design, or maybe the building design. And I thought building design would be the best for me. I met a couple of architects. One of my friends' uncle who is an architect. We went there. We saw that what did they do, how's their routine, what's the life, and I personally believe that's touched me, and I decided to go into the architecture. I passed out in 2007 from Gujarat University, which is in India. I got a gold medal for my academic performance. Then I decided to work with the local architectural practices. I worked with for a couple of years. I worked in the local market, and then I got one day I something pop up on my computer, and when I when I started my laptop, I checked my email and I saw that there is an advertise call. Hey, you got a chance to work with Jaha Hadid. And I thought, wow, damn Jaha Hadid. And I got to work with Jaha Hadid. I should definitely go and crack this interview. I went there, I cracked the interview, I got a good hike, and I decided to start working on this. And when I started working, I realized that no, this is not in complete Jahadi. This is the Jahadi's team who is taking care of one of Dubai's projects. And they were giving this drawings and everything, and they were training everybody on software called Rhino and Revit. And
Okay.
and this both the softwares were completely alien to me, and I was like scared guy, and I'm like sitting and saying, oh my God, what's this? What this kind of, free from organic shape? Wow. This is dream come true. I started working in a 6 month. I understood this is called an outsourcing. So we are not actually working as a banner under banner of Jahadi, but we are working for some MNC. They got this work and we started outsourcing. And to be honest, that time I really felt that, I got cheated. I'm not getting a chance to work with Jadid. That tagline was wrong. And I met one of my supervisor and I told them, this is not true. I want to work with them on designing part. And they said, hey, Ankit, be practical. You're not going to chance that. This is what you have to learn first. This is all about technology. And I started working on technology, searching a lot about BIM, all these things, and overwhelmed with a lot of information. And I decided that I want to jump on the technology side. So then I got a chance to work in Singapore. Singapore, I worked with the government. Singapore, I worked with a couple of clients. And then I got a chance to work with government. And Singapore government was the first government in the world implementing BIM for that local submissions. And they
Yeah.
were giving a free grant of hardware. So whatever hardware you buy, you get 50% off. Whatever software you buy, 50% off. And whatever manpower you have on BIM, you get 50% off. And I
Wow.
was a kind of, trained by the Autodesk team in the government. We got a lot of seminars, a lot of training, internal trainings, and then I got placed into the couple of firms to implement BIM and make this staff to study and understand the processes of BIM. And that's how I completely transited from CAD to this BIM workflow. And the virtual building studio journey is again and a kind of a dream come true. I got a chance to meet one of president of AECOM in Singapore. I was deputed there for an implementation, and I had a good time, 6 months learning about this big company, how do they work, the big projects they have, and they were suffering from the manpower crunch. Everybody in the industry that time, they're reluctant to work on this new technology, especially the old age people. They said, hey guys, we are really pro. I really not want to learn this software. We are happy with the AutoCAD. Whoever you want to teach, go and teach. I really not interested in this. I'm just doing
Yep.
because my boss told me. And I said, okay, that's fine. And then one day they came and they said, hey Ankit, we are suffering from manpower crunch. We have a lot of projects. Would you mind go back to India? And I know there are a lot of architects and engineers. Why don't you go and work for us? And I said, I have an employment pass. I really don't want to struggle myself.
Mhm.
I'm really happy here. I really need a time. I'm not thinking on this line at this point of time. And we said, no worries, take your time. So after a couple of months, we have the same discussion, and they are ready to hedge all my risk. And I thought, let me try this. This gives me a new experience of entrepreneurship and new experience of start something new from scratch. I came back, I started with myself. We hired two people, and within a 2.5 year, the team grew to the 50 people. And now that's that small center of 50 people. So we call it BOT, build, operate, and transfer. So that small unit is completely transferred. And the small unit is now the global delivery center of AECOM, which has more than 2,000 people serving all offices
Wow.
across AECOM. And that's how I learned the lessons of outsourcing, BIM, technology, working with MNC, everything together. And then I got my second client, which is Sunway Construction, referred by AECOM. Again, a Malaysia-based stock exchange listed general contractor. We work for them. The same kind of model, BOT. It was fabulous experience. We have been still working with them, managing the team, and that's how I started learning that we can really change outsourcing game, and there is a huge potential in a manpower. If you really have processes and system, you can utilize them for your benefit. And that's how I jumped into this outsourcing. Since then, I think this year we turned to be a 10 years old company, and that's how the whole journey is. We have right now more than 300 plus clients in the world, and especially in US, we have 200 plus clients.
Okay. So, so you went to AECom in Singapore and they said, "Hey, we need a team in India." They sent you back to make a team.
Yeah.
Did you make VBS when you got sent back, or were you working for AECom when you made that team of 50?
No, we make VBS because they really not want to put anything on the stake. They want me to take stake, but they were ready to hedge the whole risk. So it
Okay.
was a BBS because it was a pilot, and we are just trying that whether this is gonna work or not. And nobody knows it's gonna work. Even for me, it's completely new venture, and I really not knew anything about AECOM, the processes, standards, and the blah blah lot long hierarchies and things. So they decided that why don't we do this small demo? You do yourself. We had your risk. We are happy for that, and you start. And we decided that let's give it a name, virtual building studio, and that's how we decided that it's a virtual building studio. And everybody that time calling building information modeling as in create a virtual building. It's a virtual building, and that's how I decided like it's a virtual building studio.
Oh, awesome. Okay. So now your team is based in India, correct?
Correct.
Is your entire team in India, or are you also in other countries?
So this is how we work. We have a global resource pool. 85% team is in India. The 15% is from the different part of Asia. So we have few people from Philippines. If somebody is really a great architect, they've done their masters from US or bachelors from US and came back to Manila, and they decided that hey, now I want to work from here. So we have those kind of a 10% resourceful, 10 to 15% resourceful from this Asian countries. So that's how the 100% is. And on a sales part, we have a small team which is in US that take care of the sales part.
Okay. So I'm gonna we're gonna get into it now, if you're okay with that. Um,
Yes, and
so you're bringing these people on. You're 300 strong. How do you educate your employees on Western construction?
that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Yeah. So Alex, so when we started, I have a basic education from ACOM because we run that operations for 3 years, and I learned
Right.
a lot more thing that what are the constructions in Singapore, how this things works, how that thing works, what we're gonna do, what are the SOPs. Even I first time heard that this is something called SOP, standard operating procedures. That's something we have to follow. And the first time I learned about the difference between the QA and QC, that both things are different, but generally people call QA QC, and I was like, it's okay, it's QA QC. And then I understood no, assurance is a different ball game, and control is a different ball game, and we have to understand it. So those 3 years I learned a lot from these guys. I learned a lot more things. So at present, if I'm talking about, so that time they were the one who taught us. Then we got the Sunway construction. So this is how we work. So I personally believe that outsourcing is that. So there is no scope of outsourcing in the market, and it's gonna die completely in near future. What I believe is when the outsourcing started few years ago, the definition of outsourcing is all about cost saving. But that's not gonna the same. The landscape has evolved a lot. Now outsourcing is all about your vision, goal, and integration of a right team based on your goal. And I believe that this outsourcing is a different ballgame. Lot of small and medium business owners, they don't understand outsourcing. They understand that outsourcing is giving somebody in a $20 or $30 per hour and save your cost, but that's not true. And then they fall into the trap of this outsourcing. They not get the right quality, they not get the culture fit people, and they not get the right TAT, and they get frustrated of outsourcing. Whereas if you see the big giants, the billion-dollar companies, whether it's an Apple, whether it's an Bank of America, or any kind of banks in the world, they all use IT outsourcing. at $1 billion level, I would say. They have $1 million of contracts. And they understand that this is my goal, this is my 5 years vision, this is what I want to do in future. And based on that, they do the strategic outsourcing. So when you have a mindset of strategic outsourcing, you're gonna get success. But I think the small and medium business owners, they generally lack the skills. So I call it, outsourcing is a skill. From my experience, I learned that outsourcing is a skills you really need to master, like any other skills, like a martial art, or maybe you're learning Revit or something else. So you have to learn the skill of outsourcing, and then you can become pro at the outsourcing, and you can take an advantage of that. Now we are training our people. So now we only work on the two niche. So one is the dedicated resource. We only sell dedicated resource. We don't do one-off projects. So we have an architects who are completely trained on US standards. They know US codes. Many of them, they studied masters in US. We have a team of architects in US whom we have hired. They train them on the US codes, linguistic. So three things we teach them. One is the culture fit, which is linguistic and culture of US. The second thing is codes and standards. And the third thing is the way they're gonna use Revit in the US construction, because the houses in US is maybe wood, a stud, which is not here in India. India, we have a brick and mortar construction. So these three parts we use. These architects we have created a nice curriculum. So everybody train on this for first 2 months. Once they are trained, we get a small examinations. Once we understand, okay, right, then they start working with the US based architects. So now my 60% of people, they all are trained on US standards, because they are trained, as well as since last 2 years they've been working on one with one architect or maybe a couple of architects, based on, let's say one project runs for 1 year and then they work with another architect. So they are 100% trained architects, and that's why we call that we have a top 1% architects available at $3,000 rate, and you can utilize them immediately within a 5 days, and you have a 1 month of free trial. I mean, you can try them, no question asked, we'll refund your money. And our model works based on subscription. So it's completely, you have to pay upfront. It's a subscription based. There is no commitment. Every month you have to pay, and you can utilize them. If you don't want, you give just a 15 days notice and you're done. So that's how we train our architects. And now we know the construction styles of US. We have a second portion of a business, which is scan to beam, where we have a network of surveyors that we leverage if we get an inquiry in US. And from the same surveyors, if they get inquiry and they work on some projects, we in the return we get scan to beam part. So my team understand how to do a scan to beam. This is with what we call a low hanging fruit. You really not need much intelligence when you convert something. So that's the scan to beam team we have, and they convert scan to beam. So there's two things we really worked on. But as I said, initially when I started, I did the same mistake. I show the crowd, and I felt that everybody's doing like one-off projects, and everybody's doing like, hey, what we do coordination modeling, 3D, 4D, 5D, AR, VR, everything in their menu, right? And I decided that I do not want to become this kind of hotel which has everything in the menu. I wanna select niche, and I wanna go to this few things, but I want to provide the world class services to my customers, but they retain for a longer period of time, and it's a win-win situation for both of them.
Okay.
I hope that answers
Well,
your
we're
questions,
gonna talk
Alex.
all about that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. Okay.
So
Yeah.
your architects talk to our architects in the U.S. that are licensed, and they get trained by our architects, right?
Right.
Do your architects get licensed in the U.S. to stamp or
Yes.
no?
Yes. Yes. They
In
are
all 50
licensed
states?
architects. No, not in all states. Not in all states. We have three consultants. So we have one on our payroll and two as a consultants, and they all are chartered architect. They have license in US.
Oh, awesome. So in the U.S., as an architect, you have to be licensed per state to stamp, right? And so
Right.
all 50 states have different standards. So
Right.
are you mainly working out of East Coast? Are you making out of West Coast? Are you able to stamp in all states? Like, how does that work for you?
Yeah. So we work in four states. So we have California, Texas, Tri-State, and Florida. So it's EST and PST. Texas is in different time zone. So this is the major states we work on. and we train our people based on that. And the three people we have, they are from the states. We call that a customer success manager, who tries to bridge the gap between the firm and the architect here. So what
Right.
happens? I call it landing team. When I call it a landing team, means these are the pro people who understand and stays for first couple of months on all communications and understand what this architectural firm needs from you. Are we able to do it? If yes, then they say yes. If they know that no, this is a core designing, these guys are not able to do it, they say no, this they're not gonna do it. They are like an intel. So I call that we are an intelligent draftsman, right? We never say that the people sitting in India are an architect, they really design, able to do, no, not at all. They are like an intelligent draftsman, but they are really no, see they are in chartered architect here in India, so they know everything based on the space planning and all the fundamentals. But what they don't know is the standards. So the best part is once they teach them, so once they know that, okay, these are the standards of, let's say, California, they start working with them and they know that I don't know this 40%, but 60% I know. And that's all the drafting needs we take care of. Whether it starts, so we work starting from SD to DD to CD, all the stages, right? And this my landing team helps for a couple of months to make sure that things are really aligned. We understand everything right. They got what they need. They go even on the site, on the office, understand the challenges and try to solve it ASAP. And that's the reason why this number of firms work with us and they're happy.
Okay. And so you're just architecturally based. You don't do any MEP disciplines or systems like that.
We do MEPF for scan to bin. So we have a small team of MEPF because we do a large volume of scan to bin. So our aim is to become a scan to bin factory for the world. So that's the part we are working on. So we have a good team on MEP, but that's on scan to beam. But yeah, on the fabrication soft drawing, no, we don't have much people and we don't accept much projects. However, we have some of our clients who work with us since so long, like Satterfield Portkey, Sunway. We work for them on MEPF as well, but it's a small team of 20 people.
So when I see and I need scan to BIM, a lot of times that I don't see people do is they don't ask me of what level. So
Yeah.
sometimes I'll say, "What's I need scan to BIM, I need work done," and no one asks me to what level. And I usually have to explain when I do scan to BIM, I want it to be the right materials. I want it to be the right fittings. I want a fabricatable level scan to BIM, not just coordination or location.
Yeah.
So how do you
Yeah.
handle that? If someone comes to you and says, "Hey, I need scan to BIM," do you ask the questions of what level of scan to BIM do you need?
Yeah. So we have full form. We have that an RFP form. So we send that form to them. So they're gonna sign and tick what they want. We have an LOD definitions. They can go and check the LOD definitions of ours, what we call LOD 200, 300, and 400. And once they sign and tick on that, then we have an initial kickoff where we understand the scope, understand the objective, why they want to do this scan to BIM. Is it for refurbishment? Is it for an architect? For what purpose? And based on that, we take an informed decision. Okay, these are the cases, or here we get some conflict. So we ask them in the meeting. Once we are done, we start working on that, right? So that scan to beam part is completely one off. So every time we get projects, we
Right.
give an RFP, they fill up the form, we get the form back, we do our quotation, then we show our quotation. We have a meeting like we have right now, and we show them, we ask queries, and we get it done. And then we
So
start the work.
you mentioned LOD. What
Yeah,
are your feelings about LOD as the acronym for information in the model?
perfect. So two things people
I,
have. So
I want to know. I want to know your feelings about it because
my
I
feelings about it,
personally, I hate LOD.
I see. I personally believe that so level of detailing is really important. Now people also add level of information, LOI, right? So my personal understanding is LOD is more than enough for for a work like scan to beam. And even in an architect, so we work with a lot of architects. That's our core niche. These architects knows what kind of LOD they need, so we really not need to struggle because we know that as the DDCD and this
Yeah.
is how everybody works. right? They are not the fabricator, they are not the subcons, they are not the GCs. They don't have these things. They just want to do this and they submit the set, and then they have a coordination meeting. So in most of our cases, can to beam and architectural part, the dedicated resources we provide, in both of the things, LOD is pretty much defined, and that is why a very less chances of conflict, I would say.
I do not like LOD as a term because I feel like it's up to anyone who interprets what that means.
Correct,
So,
correct.
do you guys provide a definition of what LOD 300 and 400 means to the client?
Correct. So we have those images that, this is the LOD 200. We have
Yeah.
this Windows on architecture side, on structure side, on MEP app side. So they have to decide, right? That okay, I want this, and it's in a digital form. So you go on a form. First you select architecture, then only you see architecture
Hmm.
stuff, and you just click, 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 and done. So that's how we work. But what I do agree with you. So Alex, when I started earlier days in 2012, and somebody said LOD, and I was out of nowhere, I thought, what is this, man? I never, nobody taught me this in school. Nobody taught me in degrees and what this LOD is all about. And then we first time I learned this, that this is called a level of detailing. Somebody has to define that what kind of level of detailing you need. But I agree, in scan to beam side, most of people get confused with the different LOD definition. When you feel that I really know, and that's why I call that, you have to ask why you are doing the scan to beam exercise. So when you ask
Hmm.
about the purpose, you get an idea that what kind of LOD they really need, or what kind of things they really need. So you can
Yeah.
suggest based on your perception, okay, you guys are doing for MEP, okay, I think you need this LOD, or you need those kind of details. You need details about ceilings, and you need those kind of things. And they said, yeah, 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 we want to do this. We have to submit this. And then we understood, okay, they need all this stuff. Though they say LOD 200, but they need an LOD 300 stuff. So provide the quotation accordingly.
Okay. 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 So, big thing about outsourcing is whenever someone outsources and they get the product back, it's not what they expected. And more often than not, it gets handed over, right? You get the model, you do it, and then 2 months later we receive it and it's not exactly what we want. Or there's a lot of rework that has to be done because of misunderstanding about buildability, construction in general. How do you combat that? Have you experienced that at VBS yet, where someone has gave you the model back and said this is not what we asked for? How do you handle that?
So I have to be straight with you. And a brutal fact, I have been through those positions where we submitted work to our clients and they say it's a city work, Ankit. This is not I expected. It's a waste of my time, money, and energy now, and I'm running behind timeline. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where we understood that this is never gonna work. And I retrospect myself and my journey, and I understood I got successful with few of the clients just because of this different kind of model of dedicated things, not one of things. So to answer your question very precise, outsourcing never gonna work for anybody. If somebody says they have this XYZ processes, three-stage QC system, checking system, it's not gonna work because nobody has a time to do this again and again and again, right? So this is how I understand why outsourcing is fair. And I apologize to all my customers if I did a mistake. And I apologize on behalf of all outsourcing industry, my mates, that this is so pathetic. I mean, I know my many of my clients said, Ankit, I have an outsourcing experience and I really not want to go into this. And I have to tell them that, I'm writing a book called Outsource or Out. And in this book, I'm interviewing a lot of big giants. I mean, the million and billion dollar companies, VPs and executives, and asking them why you guys are so successful in outsourcing in IT, and we in this AC industry are not successful like yours. And what I learned, the all fascinated facts is this, that you really need a goal. You really need what you need to outsource. You have to be so sure. So what I understood from my perspective, where my clients are wrong, to be honest, they generally want to save their money. They want to outsource just to save money fast. That's the number one
Mm-hmm.
thing. The second thing is when they are in search, Means there is a high surge and not able to do in-house. They want to outsource. Means they are
Yep.
not prepared. They are not prepared. They are just outsourcing. They are not skilled at it. They are not pro at outsourcing. And the third thing is they've seen somebody, right? That somebody is doing outsourcing. So let's try this. Or someone has come to you and pitch them, and they felt, wow, it's lucrative. I'm saving a lot of money. Let me try. They're gonna fail because they don't know why they are outsourcing. And they think that somebody sitting 100,000 miles away knows everything that you know, and they are doing and giving you the work at $20 or maybe $30 per hour, right? It's not gonna possible. The same hours, if somebody does work there, they're gonna charge like $120 per hour,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's you're never gonna get the same quality from this resource because they're not trained based on your systems, your processes, your culture. My suggestion is this: if you want to become pro at outsourcing, instead of and this is one more truth in outsourcing where people fail. So I've seen the small and medium businesses, they go to like six vendors. They got the quote from the six vendors and they compare. So it's the bottom of the bottom. They find somebody very much lowest or good, and then they outsource. And they don't know anything about them. They never visited them. They never seen their processes. They are not ready to train the people, right? And it's a one-time affair. So it's like, in a one-time affair, how you believe that you're gonna get wife? It's not gonna possible, right? You really need to invest your time understanding your vendor first, understanding your goal first. Then you have to be ready to train, right? If there is a need, if there is a long-term solution you have in mind. So many of my customers. So I'll tell you this exciting story. When I met Tesla working with the multiple vendors, and they got frustrated just because they have a one person who is charging like $12,000, just managing the six, seven vendors, the quotations, finalizing one, awarding them, explaining RFE, all this shit. And they are loaded with all this, bombarded with this stuff. When I go and I understand with them that, and they have same things, I'm not getting right quality, and this is pathetic experience. And I said, you really need to stop this. If you are so sure that you want to do this, you really need a dedicated team. You really need to invest on them. So slowly, gradually, maybe first month is hiccup, second month, that will be tough. But from third month onward, these people know what you need. What's your company? What's your psyche? What's your standard? And they are ready to crack on your code, man. They are like your team. So you have to build an army, right? It's not a one time you find somebody and put it in your army and you say, hey, we're gonna win this game. No, man, you're not gonna win. You really need to train this army in the right way. And they understood these things. They started with us. We have a resources with them since last 2 years, working fabulously. They've trained their resources on the designing, on the scan to beam side. They have their surveyors, they have the scanners, they go do surveying, they write an objective, everything. So things are working so smoothly. Integration is really good because now the team of Tesla is working here. They feel that they are working for Tesla. It's one of the biggest tech company, right? Elon is so famous everywhere in the world that everybody reads about Elon, and
Mm-hmm.
people are feeling proud that I'm working for Tesla. And when they say that, hey guys, we are urgent, and this delivery is we really need today, and people are like, okay, we can do that. We are working for Tesla. So the feeling of, this bond with your team members, bond with those people who really communicate every day, it works at the next level. And now they see the magic of real team building, right? And even the company like us who understand that if you build your team, we operate and we are ready to transfer. Once your team is more than 50 people, we will transfer it to you. There are some terms and conditions, but we are happy to transfer. You can put your management here. You drive your way. We don't mind, but we are happy to help you out. And from from all those my 15 plus years of experience, I learned that in IT industry they have a long contracts of 5 years, and people start working on a 5 years of contract. If you have seen that recently, a couple of big banks in America, I don't want to say the name, but they've outsourced contracts to these IT giants in India. It's $1 million contracts of 5 6 years, and they take care of all IT. Now they know that what they want to outsource, right? What is the budget? How it's gonna work? Then the team size gonna work on this project. They even I suggest this. if you are really good with your budget, then hire some. So allow this team from India or maybe from any part of the world, whether it's a Mexico, Argentina, or any part of the world. Hire a couple of guys and train in your office for 6 months, and now allow them. Now send them back to their office. Now they are your gladiators who train the team, and we did the same with our clients. We give H1 visa. People go on a site. They understand with the clients. They know that okay, these are the things. Now when they come back, they know everything about that company, and they transfer the knowledge. And when you really need to scale your team, these two gladiators of yours, they train the multiple other people from this global talent pool, because now they know what my company wants, what kind of things we want, and based on the right kind of parameter, they hire the right kind of people. They hire the right people in their team from this global talent pool and utilize them. So my suggestion is one of outsourcing. That's why I'm saying it's dead. It's not gonna work. Everybody has pathetic experience, no matter what. Yeah, if you want to save a couple of money, or if it's a small search, you can try this. But otherwise, you not. It's not a long term game for sure.
Okay. So a few things there. So what you're saying is a lot of outsourcing fails because they do it one time and they get a bad taste in their mouth
Yeah,
and they don't work with that team.
yeah,
Now, would you say, have you ever had to turn down a client because it wasn't your niche? Have you ever said to a client, hey, that's not really what we do? We're not really
yeah,
specialized in that.
yeah.
Have you turned down a
So
client before like that?
many. Every
Okay.
month we do that. Every month we do that since last 2 years. Since last 2 years, we decided we want to work with architects. So all my GCs, the new GCs, which we're not able to cater, they are more on the MEPF side. They're more on the fabrication drawing, coordination, shop drawings. We say no, we are not expert at it. I'm not able to turn around your thousand shop drawings or fabrication drawings in this timeline.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not able to do it. Even I'm not master of it. I really not want to give you any city output and not want to ruin my impression,
Right.
right? So
Okay.
we say no to a lot of clients. We only work with architects and few engineers, right? But not with GCs, not with the soft drawing, fabrication drawings, because you really need a last mile expertise, I would say. And I heard a couple of your podcasts where multiple people like Ian and everybody said that the last mile expertise, when you worked on the real time, you have this, your hands, you put dirty on the site and you do all this plumbing stuff, all real stuff here. And when you execute those drawings, that matters, right?
Yeah.
But when you don't know anything about the plumbing in US, and somebody start working on fabrication soft drawing, and you are expecting at $20 they're gonna give you like superb output, I think you are making yourself fool. So it's not a mistake of an outsourcing company, but I would say it's a mistake of an company sitting there and putting a wrong expectation.
Okay. So what would you say about an outsourcing company that says they do MEP, but they don't know construction? Now, it's different from standards, and I'll say that. Standards are SOPs, right? You have a book of rules and regulations. When I talk about understanding construction, it's understanding the tradesman on site and why he does what he
Yeah,
does.
yeah,
Just
exactly.
because you have a fitting in your toolbox doesn't mean you should use that fitting. Maybe the
True.
contractor that they have, we never use 45s or 11 and a quarters. That's silly. Those are specialty
Silly.
order. They're way too expensive. We would never use them. But to someone who has it in their toolbox in Revit and just says, hey, we need plumbing, might put it in there because that's what they think would look better. So, what would you say about outsourcing companies that say they do MEP? Do you think it's the same issue where it's they've only worked with them once and had a bad taste in their mouth, or do you think it's an education issue? What is your opinion on that?
My opinion is they don't know the construction in US. So lacking the constructability part, number one. Number two is they are not able to tell the right things to their customers that, okay, our expertise is this. We can only do this much of task and you really need to do QC everything, right? These are the two topmost issue with these companies. They not give the truth and they don't have a constructability knowledge. They think that this is a 2000 seats work. We're gonna start working here. Even they start. I'm not saying they don't have I'm not saying that they don't have a complete zero knowledge. They definitely have a 70% knowledge. But people always expect 100%. That's the problem. That's what I'm saying. Your customer needs 100%. If I give you this t-shirt, and it has some fault. It's not 100%. Everybody needs 100%. That's the problem. So uh, I personally suggest that one of my clients, they came to me and they said, "Hey, do you know any solution? How do I know that this company is really great?" And I said, just go and ask them that, are you ready for back charge? Whatever the mistake you do, if there will be a mistake, some issues happens on site, you are liable for that. And we are happy to pay you like $60, $80 per hour, whatever the charge you want to charge. But you are liable for the all the errors happen on site, right? A back charge. And if they say no, you understand that they really not have confidence. If somebody says yes, means they are pro at this and they have a confidence that they're gonna execute very well. They have a years of experience. They might have a right system. They understand the constructability. They might have a good people in US and they know everything, right? So this is how you understand the companies. If they are ready to take risks, means they have a confidence. They know the system. They know this everything about those particular job. They are able to perform 200%.
Would you also say that if there are outsourced companies out there that say they do everything, that's something to stay away from?
I call it a bullshit. I'm sorry for my word, but I call it a bullshit. If somebody says it's like if Tesla says they build everything, they do plans, they do everything on transportation side, whether it's an air, fleet, any kind of transportation. I call it bullshit. It's not gonna possible. But if it is the case, then there is no need of architects, engineers, and all these trades, right? The
Right.
the few firms only uh, capture the market. So no, it's completely false. People don't understand a right mindset of outsourcing. They think that if we get 100 new customers every year, we run our show every year because US is a big market. And every year, if you have 100 customers, next year you have a new 100 customers, next year you have a new 100 customers, we gonna run till 10 years, and that's fine. One day they shut down their show, right? In order to build a legacy business or provide a right value to your customer, I think you should understand your niche. You should work really well. You should act as a partner with your customers,
Hmm.
not think that it's a business. So when you think it as a business just for money, you will not add any value to your customers for sure.
Okay. Well, I think one of the biggest things that I push is education. I think it's construction education. Like you said,
Yeah,
the best way to do that is to fly them out here, teach them, and fly them back to teach the team.
super,
So,
super,
do you guys
excellent idea.
provide at VBS? Do you guys provide the visas and the tickets for to fly them out and learn, or is that based on the client?
If I would have that power, I definitely do it. But US visa, it's a tough.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a lottery system, and everybody doesn't get the chance. So I'm not able to provide visas to all my people. We only 5% they have these visas, right? So even 95% not able to get it, and the criteria are so stringent. If somebody really tell governments, I think we can do that. But what I suggest is if somebody really work around this and start something where everybody learns by sitting in their own country, this gonna be a revolution. This gonna be a game changing for an outsourcing industry, and people understand the stuff, and people really start adding value. Because I'm not saying that outsourcing is bad. Outsourcing is really good if you understand this game well. The problem with the small and medium business, they don't understand it right, and that's why they are not making money. It's like a stock. It's like a stock market, right? In the stock market, everybody doesn't make money, right? Only few makes money because they have patience, they understand things very well, and they have a long-term perspective, not the
Hmm.
short-term. The short-term guys generally fail down.
Okay. Well, I will tell you, Ankit, that if you're an architect out there, you've been saying all the right stuff so far. So if you're an architect out there, I feel like you'd be a great option if I were to outsource. Obviously, you're already telling me ahead that I'm like, yeah, let's get on the third project and we'll be amazing. You gotta get your feet wet and you gotta make a partnership. So that's great to hear. You've definitely shed some light on outsourcing industry issues, which is fantastic because I feel like there's a lot of people out there. There's some big names out there that say they do a lot of things, and it's
Yeah.
been a lot of headache for a lot of people, including myself, with a couple companies. So I do
And
appreciate your candor, and it's been fantastic meeting you and talking about VBS. If you had to give advice to anyone out there right now that's looking to outsource, what would you tell them to ask during the interview process with the company?
I would say that the easiest one is ask for reference. If they're ready to give you a two references where you can call and check the quality, that's the easiest one you can do. The second one is understand the niche. Are this company working on any niche? They are really master of something, then try it out, right? Even they are ready to hedge your risk. Like in our case, we hedge the risk that you try first month. If you don't like, no need to pay anything, no question asked. So if they are ready to hedge your risk, try it out. I think these two silly things can help you out because asking for, if somebody has done these drawings or kind of projects and they're showing their portfolio, it doesn't make any sense because you really not know how that portfolio comes, right? Even I
Mm-hmm.
work on a smaller part of MEPF on the bigger stadium project, I can show you that I've done this stadium, but it's not true. So I think the reference and understanding the niche, and if they are ready to cover or hedge your risk, you should go ahead and try them out for sure.
Awesome. Well, Ankit, I'm going to have you stick around. We're going to have another conversation. But thanks, everybody, for listening to the Strive Summit podcast. If you like what you're listening to and you like this podcast, please like, subscribe, follow me on LinkedIn, follow Strive on LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all the other ones. And we will talk to you guys next time. Thanks, Ankit. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Alex. Appreciate your time and giving me an opportunity to speak here. Thank you, everyone in audience. Thank you.